multiple, 5 different autoimmune diseases, and one of them was fibromyalgia. She came in because, remember, these are anti-inflammatory. So we want, if you're able to get away from any anti-inflammatories for a few days, you know, if you can, that's great, but hey, nothing's going to disqualify you from getting stem cells. So isn't that amazing that God made something that's, you're not going to be disqualified no matter what's going on in your life? And anyway, so this woman came in, she was in tears, and she said, I've dealt with chronic pain, and she was literally jumping around. She's 62, I believe. She's jumping around like she's a teenager. I have my life back. I could have never done this before. The testimonies just keep going for stem cells. And anyway, her son had a very, now mind you, he's in his 60s now. Within about 6 weeks, he can taste. Shirley, he's been restored. Now, this woman wasn't even a believer. Did you hear me? But she said, Shirley, she put in quotes, God's medicine, because that's what I call it, God's medicine. She said, God's medicine really does work. I said, yes. I said, he is our healer. Jesus made a way for every one of us. Y'all, but he is just stick God in a box and think, well, no, it's got to be done this way or it ain't going to happen. Well, many times, because of our upbringing, we think, no, it's only going to be like this or it's only going to be like this. That's all. And I'm telling you, this is so amazing to see what we are seeing. And this is just transforming lives, not only my life and the life of family members, but many, many, many others that I run into on a daily basis. And you know, one of the doctors, she actually received stem cell therapy. She was facing open heart surgery because she had severe blockages in her heart. And so she received stem cell therapy. 1 month later, she goes back in for another MRI. And guess what? Her arteries are clear. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, my brother-in-law, who had been in chronic pain for 15 years, the day before he received stem cell therapy, went in and he had some MRIs done, and they were going through a lot of different tests, and they ran an EKG on him, said, wait a minute. Anyway, he had severe blockage, so they were setting him up to go back in about 4 weeks for him to have stents put in. Well, they didn't tell me about it. So he gets stem cells the following day, and then here we are 4 weeks later, and he's going to go in to have those stents put in. And they get in there. My sister's out in the waiting room, and I'm telling my sister, Cindy, we keep getting testimonies one after another of people that are coming back and saying, oh my goodness, I had blockage, now it's all clear. I had all kinds of problems, and now I'm doing better. So they get in there, and they sedate him. They're going in to put the stents in. They start running all the tests, and they're going, what happened? My sister's hearing them out in the hall. What's going on now? This guy, who did this? This guy, his arteries are clear. He doesn't need any stents. My sister called and said, should we tell him? So anyway, they left. My brother-in-law still doesn't have any stents. And anyway, we just keep seeing things that seemingly would be impossible with man. But I see that nothing's impossible with God. And, you know, I have a dear friend, and she had cancer return for the 3rd time. And she said, Shirley, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing the conventional therapies anymore. I'm done. She said, I've already had the bilateral mastectomy. I've already been through it all, and I'm not doing it again. I've already lost my hair. I've done the chemo. I've done the radiation. I've done all this over and over, and I'm not doing it again. She said, I'm done. And I sent her to my oncologist in Garland, and she told my oncologist, she said, hey, heaven's a beautiful place, and I'm not afraid to go, but I'm not going to go through what I've been through again, because every time I was told that I was fine, that I was clear of cancer, and it's back for the 3rd time. She said, I'm going to try something else. So anyway, she received stem cell therapy. Anyway, after about, I believe it's about 4 or 6 weeks later, anyway, my oncologist starts texting me. And then I'm getting one text after another. And then he calls me because we had agreed that whenever he got the information that she was okay with sharing it with me, so he wasn't violating any HIPAA regulations or anything. So then he calls me and he's going, Shirley. I said, what? He said, what on earth are y'all doing? I said, what do you mean? He said, her pathology reports. I did the PET scan. I read everything. good. He said, oh, my goodness, Shirley, this is like crazy. I said, I know. I keep running into this. I said, isn't this the craziest thing that you've ever run into ever in your life? And, you know, and I keep running into, now y'all, there's no guarantee on anything for anybody. But, you know, I read all these things on surgeries and all of these reports, and there's no guarantee with medical science. Nobody knows what's going on in your body. But I see that many times we're dealing with people, okay, my brother, he goes off, and my brother had no business going snow skiing. He wasn't in shape, but he decides he's going to go snow skiing because he's got 2 teenage boys that are ready to go snow skiing. His first run down the mountain, he hyperextends his knee. And they said, oh, buddy, you're going to have surgery. He said, oh, no, I don't want to have anybody cutting on me. He said, Anyway, so they told him, no, you messed up your knee, and you should have never done this, and this is the only way it's going to get fixed. So anyway, so he goes through the whole process. He goes to the chiropractor. He's trying all of these remedies and trying all these soaks and salves and everything. Anyway, he still is now running around the house in the office in a roller chair because he can't use that knee. And then whenever he gets up, he's having to use a walker. And this is my younger brother. Anyway, so I said, Mark, why don't you try stem cells? And he said, they told me it's really bad, that it's like really messed up. And I said, well, just try it. He said, okay. So anyway, he actually came and he got some stem cells into his knee, direct injection. And anyway, 2 weeks later, my brother's up running. Did you hear that? Y'all, we are seeing bone on bone, before and after x-rays. Can you pull up a couple of those? And within 90 days, y'all, somehow or another, stem cells know what to do. They go after degeneration and help the body to regenerate. So this is the most incredible thing. Look at this. Severe bone-on-bone arthritis. Look at this. And 90 days later, do you see that regenerated joint? Hey, Dr. Salinas, look at that. What do you think? Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Hey, this is so amazing. Can you flip over to one of the other ones? All right, here's moderate arthritis. You can see the measurements, 4.3 millimeters here. Within 90 days, 7.6, almost doubled, because that distance between the bone is actually showing regeneration, rebuilding of tissue. Isn't that incredible? This is so amazing. This is what stem cells do. They go after degeneration. They help the body to repair and rebuild. And I see it all the time. People that couldn't breathe, COPD, all these testimonies coming back. Shirley, I can breathe again. Oh my goodness. Shirley, did you hear about this? Oh my goodness. Anyway, a friend of mine, she's a doctor, and she was diagnosed with Parkinson's. Anyway, it's been over 2 years ago now. And anyway, we just came in, and she actually just did a filming, but it's been over 2 years. She received stem cells 1 time, and still no signs or symptoms of Parkinson's. Now, another thing that she was dealing with was stage 4-5 renal failure. She was about to go on dialysis. Anyway, within 24 hours, she came back to me and she said, Shirley. I said, what? Everything's working, she said. I said, really? She said, I've already urinated like 3 times this morning. I said, yes! She was so excited. I was so excited. Anyway, she went from stage 4-5 renal failure to a total reversal. Now, mind you, the Word of God says whatever you do it in faith. Okay? So, if you don't have faith, and you don't believe anything's going to happen, and you're never going to improve, well, you probably won't, okay? Because the Word of God says, it's a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, and so does he become. So I encourage you, whatever you do it in faith. But I've seen people that were absolutely convinced that it wasn't going to work, and they were still convinced a month or a month and a half later that it wasn't going to work. And then about 90 days later, this happened in Alpine. This lady, I said, can I pray for you? She said, no. I said, okay. All right. Well, she don't know I'm going to pray over those stem cells for her if they go into her body. So anyway, so I did. She didn't know it, but that's okay. So anyway, a couple of months later, because I kept calling her, I said, hey, how are you doing? The stem cells, they didn't work on me. And I said, oh, well, let's give it some more time. She said, they're not going to work. Nothing's ever worked on me. Every surgery's failed. Nothing has ever worked on me. And I said, okay. Called her later. She said, I want you to quit bothering me because those stem cells, they didn't work. And I said, okay. I said, well, I'm going to keep praying for you. And she said, don't you do that. And I said, oh, all right, well. So anyway, about another month later, I walk into a restaurant. Mark and I are going in. We go and sit down in the restaurant. Anyway, and then in a little bit, I see this woman walk through the door. And I thought, oh my goodness, is that woman? The woman that used to have to use crutches, walker, canes. She just walks right into the restaurant and goes right in, pulls up a chair, and just sits right down. And I was like, Mark, is that her? Oh my goodness, is that woman? Could it be? So I kept, looking across the restaurant. Finally, I get up, being the shy person that I am. So anyway, I get up and I walk by, and it's like, well, hello, how are you doing? And she looked at me and she said, those stem cells worked. I said, well, who would have thunk something like that? So anyway, she's continued to get better. I continue to see things happen that are so extraordinary that it has literally caused me to turn loose of things that I have done for years and years and years and put me on a track. I feel like I am one of those, like Peter in the Bible, that said, I cannot help but tell you what I have both seen and heard. What I've seen is so extraordinary that it has changed and transformed me, because I run into people all the time. Many people that maybe I didn't have an open door. Maybe I didn't know these people. Maybe they would have never come into my church. But yet I see them now all over the place. And I'm seeing restoration like never before. One guy came in. Mark, do you have the one of Bobby Payne? Can you pull that one up real quick? I had an old rancher that came in, and he said, Shirley, he was dealing with all kinds of stuff. He said, I fell off a mountain one day. Here he is, this old cowboy. He said, I got all kinds of stuff, all kinds of metal, all kinds of stuff all in my body. And anyway, and after he received stem cells, I'm telling you, things began to regenerate. Let me see if we can pull him up, and I'll let him tell the story.
A lot of symptoms.
Yeah. Isn't that incredible? All right, go ahead, Mike.
Oh, this is another guy, so we'll let you watch him for just a second.
I could, but it hurt 50%.
50%, and that's just been minutes. That's pretty awesome.
Yes.
That's great.
That's
I had a lot of symptoms. My back, my neck. I have a titanium plate and 6 screws in my neck. Before I couldn't hardly turn my head. I couldn't turn, and I just went around with my head down all the time. Didn't walk with it down. It got hurt really, really bad. I started noticing the difference before I got home. And within 4 weeks now, my back doesn't hurt. I sleep all night. My neck don't hurt. Nothing hardly hurts. And my left knee, it hurt inside. And now it don't hurt inside, but it's a little funny, like I'm walking on the other side of it. It's a little quickie there. It hadn't been walked all a long time, but I can tell it's getting well. And I got home and I was talking to Rudy, and he said, where's your hearing aid? And I said, it's in my pocket. And he said, you can hear it again.
How are you feeling right now?
This is another lady that came in. She was not able to get out of the vehicle by herself whenever she came in. Severe case of Parkinson's. Also couldn't speak. Well, within 3 minutes after her receiving stem cells, you could see she was up walking. Y'all, and I'm seeing this happen all the time. And I had a doctor come in one day, because, y'all, you have to understand my background, where I've come from. I've ministered around the world. I've seen God do things that are absolutely impossible with man. One day I was struggling. I said, God, do you really want me to move forward and do stem cells? I said, because I know that you used them for me, but maybe this is not something that you really want me to be connected with and involved in. Well, anyway, and I was up early that morning. I got up early and I went in to pray, and I was in my office. And then I had a doctor walk in, and he said, Shirley. I said, yeah. He said, I gotta talk to you. I said, okay. I said, what's going on? He said, I don't even know. He said, this ain't no placebo effect. And I said, okay. Well, what happened? He said, Shirley, I was blind and I was not able to see He said, I got up this morning, I can see across my room, I can see the clock. It's not just a red blur. I can actually tell the time. I walked into my kitchen. I know exactly how far I had to be before I could see the clock. I can now see from across the room. About 30 minutes later, another doctor walks in. And he said, Shirley? I said, what? He said, I've been deaf for over 20 years. He said, I can hear again. I said, wow. He said, now all my hearing didn't come back, but my hearing is greatly improved. I said, wow. Then I had another guy come in. He's in his 80s. He walks in, and he said, this is probably within maybe 45 minutes, an hour later, all still this in the morning. He walks in, and he walks in the door, and I thought, oh my goodness. The last time I saw him, he could barely creep in with a walker. I said, oh my goodness. He said, Shirley. I said, what? Whoa. He said, I don't have any pain in my knees. I don't have any pain in my hips. I don't have any pain in my back. I said, this is extraordinary. He said, Shirley, I was a lame man. I couldn't walk, and I can walk again. He left and walked out the door, and I went back into my office, and this is what I heard. The blind see, the deaf hear, and the lame walk. And I knew at that moment that in the Bible, whenever Jesus was with his disciples, and John the Baptist had been imprisoned, and John the Baptist sent his disciples to go and talk to Jesus and said, is it you that we seek, or do we seek for another? And Jesus turned and said, you go back and you tell John that the blind see, the deaf hear, and the lame walk. And at that moment, I called Mark and I said, I'm going to have to make some changes in my life, because I believe that God's called me to be a part of a healing revolution. And y'all, it's sweeping across the nation. It's going to the uttermost parts of the world, and even the isles of the sea. So at this time, I want to ask Bobby Vitality to come on up. Bobby is a man that, this is years ago before I knew anything about stem cells, before I ever got into stem cells, before Bobby came and actually ministered at our church. And Bobby has become an incredible mentor for us. Bobby's an extremely successful businessman. He has built businesses and been very successful. God has just given him an anointing to do things. And I walked in to one of his businesses one day, a studio, and I was being interviewed by one of the hosts of one of the television shows there. And Bobby walks in, and he walks by the door where I was sitting in this room, and the Spirit of the Lord spoke to me and said, that's him. And I thought, that's him who? What? But I knew what God spoke to me, and I knew. So I get up, and I went and introduced myself to Bobby. Still had no idea who he was, if he was a visitor, if he was a janitor, if he was one of the camera guys. I had no idea who the guy was. Anyway, but Bobby stayed, and he heard my interview. And whenever I walked out of the interview, Bobby said, Shirley, we got to talk. And I saw how that God would connect us, and God would use this man to change our lives and to help bring healing and restoration to many. So would you please give Bobby Vitality a hand as he comes.
Hey everybody. Hello. Happy, what's today? Tuesday? Happy Tuesday. Is Shirley not awesome? Give Shirley a hand. Mark and Shirley. I've never seen anyone more committed to equipping and empowering people to live a happier. Oh, I got my hands. I got a lot.
Oh, okay.
I'm already loud.
But
You need the mic?
Yeah.
You need the mic? Testing. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Hey, everybody. All right, now we're going to have a slower meeting because I got to use my hands. I'm Italian. So. At any rate, it's an honor and a privilege to be here. I'm excited when I get to share the message of hope and healing all across the United States of America. We've been doing this for a little over 2 years. Done over 37,000 successful therapies all across the United States of America. And the biggest problem that we have is it sounds too good to be true. Right? How many of y'all want to take your health to the next level? If you do, say yes. Yes. Can I speak a positive profession over you guys? Is that okay? I came here to tell you that the rest of your life will be the best of your life. If you agree, say yes. Yes. Then say it with me. The rest of my life.
The rest of my life
will be the best.
will be the best
of my life.
of my life.
Thank you for agreement. There's power in agreement.
Yes.
My job here tonight is to keep stem cells simple. How many of y'all like simple stuff? If you like simple, say yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Let me tell you what qualifies me to be here tonight. Growing up between the ages of 8 and 18 in Northeast Philadelphia, back in the 60s, I watched over a dozen of my family members get sick. They weren't in their 80s and 90s. They were in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. A lot of them suffered. A lot of them died. That kind of shaped my life back then. I knew there was a better way. I knew it was our birthright to live in maximum health, wellness, and vitality. And I knew something wasn't right. They were dying of what I now know to be PLDDs, preventable lifestyle-driven diseases. And it really put me on a track in my life. So I began to study medicine. That's what I did. I studied medicine. Not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. But I studied different types of medicine. When I say medicine, what do you guys think of? What do you think of when I say medicine? Anybody? Pharmacy, drugs, pills, right? Isn't that great marketing? They've got great marketing programs, don't they? The definition of medicine, and I like truth. I like to think I'm a passionate advocate for truth. I don't like deception. But the truth about medicine is defined as the science, practice, and study of the diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of disease. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's what medicine is, the practice, the science of the study of the diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of disease. That's what medicine really is. I love doctors. They committed their careers and their life. We have Dr. Salinas here. Give him a hand. I love this guy. Right? He's really awesome. He's partnered up with Shirley, Mark, and their team to bring this message to people and to bring the healing revolution right to you because it's personal. See, it was personal for me. Longevity of those that you love. Regenerative be rebuilt. And messed up elbows, with their elbows be rebuilt. Then I started seeing incredible things happen. And I knew we had something really cool and really unique here. So we like to make stem cells simple. So 3 types of medicine that I study. And I want to talk to you real quick about them. Number 1 is mind body medicine. How many of you have heard of that? Raise your hand if you heard of that. Raise your hand if you believe in mind body medicine. Okay, if you don't believe, then wiggle your finger. Your mind controls your body, there's no doubt about it. It's a real science. It's called psychoneuroimmunology. That's the science of the study of how your thoughts, what you choose to think, meditate on, focus on, and the emotions that you choose to live in on a daily basis, how they affect your physical health and your body. Mind-body medicine. There's power. I love you guys talk about the word. I love the word. There's power in your thoughts.
Amen.
Right? Think on things that are good, that are praiseworthy, that are truthful, that are genuine, that are of good report. Think about these things.
Yes,
right?
That's right.
Mind-body medicine, super important. Second type of medicine, big deal. Okay? Lifestyle medicine. Let me make sure I have the right group.
Yes.
How many humans do we have in here? Raise your hand if you're a human being. Awesome. That's great. I'm speaking to the right group. Well, if you're a human being, then you get the gift of a life. And I define your life as the seconds and the minutes and the hours and the days of the month, so the years of the decades that you will call your life. And you get to make choices. And the choices that you make, see, 8 out of the top 10 killers diseases in the United States of America are PLDDs, preventable lifestyle-driven diseases. Not a virus, not a bacteria, not something that just happens to you, something that you choose or you create by how you choose to live your life. What thoughts do you think about? What relationships do you have? What environment do you live in? Do you drink enough water? Ooh, you're made of water, right? Most people are walking around dehydrated, right? What about the foods that you eat? Ooh, don't mess with my food, right? These are all really important things. These are lifestyle decisions that will determine the quality and the quantity of your life. So, mind-body medicine, awesome. Psychoneuroimmunology, and lifestyle medicine, really, really cool. But I came here tonight to talk to you about the next level, quantum healing. I came here to talk to you about regenerative medicine, regenerative wellness. It's so exciting. It's so simple. It's so powerful. It's got to be God. And I'm really blessed to be a part of it. I pinch myself because the stories that we hear just from this incredible group are just a small part. I was in Garland the other day, heard 3 stories completely miraculous. Because if we can build elbow, if we can build shoulder, if we can build disc, if we can build knee, if we can build hip, and you're seeing, I mean, we're quantifying it, then you think it's possible we could rebuild an immune system? Yeah. Think it's possible we could rebuild brain tissue? We're seeing it happen over and over again. I want to be real clear. We don't treat diseases. We activate and energize your body's natural internal repair system. That's simple. The cells don't need a diagnosis. They know where to go, what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And that's amazing to me. Okay, so I'm a mentality guy, right? Psychoneuroimmunology, as you think, so shall you be. Does that make sense? What you dwell on, the thoughts that you dwell on, you meditate on will become your life. So here's our mentality, and it's really simple. The power that created the body is the power that heals the body. If you agree with that, say yes.
Yes.
Now, I'm in a lot of groups, secular groups, I'm talking at a convention or a bunch of doctors or a doctor's office or a clinic. That's what I say. But we know that that power has a name. Right?
Amen.
The name of Jesus. That's above every other.
That's right.
Okay. So that power that created your body is the power that heals your body. Regeneration is found everywhere in nature. Jellyfish, when they get injured, they grow back. Starfish could lose legs, grow back. Certain salamanders lose their tail, lose their leg, they grow back. Regeneration is in nature. So regeneration and healing is already encoded in your DNA. It's part of who you are. I got another message. If you just get this one, it'll change your life. You are marvelously and miraculously made. Your body is a self-healing machine. It's amazing. It knows how to heal. Get a cut on your finger, it heals immediately. Platelets come out. Dr. Salinas could probably explain it way better than me, but I get it. If I get a cut, it heals. Right? Break a bone? Don't break a bone. But if you do, your body secretes natural cement. You have to go to the doctor to get it set and handled well, but your body is healing itself. Your eyes make over 750,000 color distinctions. They're the most sophisticated camera ever made. Your immune system actually thinks. It protects you 24/7 from viral and bacterial invaders. Okay, your digestive tract, take it, lay it out like a hose, okay, 18 to 22 feet long, and every piece of food you eat, a piece of rice, a pea, a nacho, whatever, goes in through there, reverse engineers your body, grabs the nutrition, it regenerates you and becomes who you are. Your body is a self-healing machine. Your brain is the most sophisticated biocomputer ever created. Your heart beats 100,000 times a day, and you don't even need to think about it. It's a good thing because I'd forget and probably die. Right? So what are stem cells? I'm going to keep it real simple.
Stem cells are the master cells of the body, the building blocks of tissues and organs. The umbilical cord and the blood left in it at birth contain a broad diversity of pristine newborn stem cells that have demonstrated the ability to help other tissues and organs heal themselves after injury or disease. While researchers have yet to identify every type of newborn stem cell, they have isolated specific stem cells that are the building blocks for other cells and organ tissue throughout the body. Hematopoietic stem cells, found in cord blood, have been used for 20 years to help regenerate the body's blood and immune system. Mesenchymal stem cells, found primarily in the umbilical cord tissue itself, have the ability to help form bone or connective tissues like cartilage and ligaments. Stem cells from the umbilical cord and cord blood have distinct benefits compared to adult stem cells from bone marrow. They're younger, have greater ability to multiply, and have had minimal exposure to environmental factors like viruses or chemicals that can interfere with cell structure and function. But what remains a question is how newborn stem cells work together to help the body heal. Researchers theorize that this diverse population of cells functions like a symphony, each type of cell having a different role to perform in healing damaged tissue and cells. Current research suggests that newborn stem cells help orchestrate a natural repair process by helping to reduce inflammation, stimulate the growth of blood vessels, improve blood flow to injured areas, and ultimately enabling injured cells to repair themselves.
Wasn't that awesome? Stem cells. By the way, stem cells aren't new for you. Your body's been using them 24/7 since the day you were born, since you were newborn, probably in your mother's womb. Your stem cells are, simply stated, the cells that formed you. Your stem cells are, simply stated, the cells that repair your body. It's really that simple. People resonate to truth. That's why the message that we have is so simple and powerful. Now, there's over 174 clinical benefits of stem cells. I'm going to just share 3 with you, which are the most important. And maybe I'll share 1 or 2 new ones because I get to hang with the scientists every once in a while. They're way smarter than me. I get to hang with some of the medical advisors way smarter than me. But I like common sense. Raise your hand if you like common sense. How many of y'all found out common sense sometimes isn't so common, right? Okay. 3 things that stem cells do. And before I get into this, really simply, I'm going to tell you how I know that stem cells work. I'm 96 years old. I'm kidding, it's a joke. Okay. Stem cells are really, really powerful. If you laugh at my jokes, we'll get out of here a lot quicker. Okay. What do stem cells do? Stem cells seek out degeneration. They actually have a sonar or radar. They seek out, they know where the problem is, they go there, they dock, or they find a parking spot, for lack of a better space, and they start building, growing, and creating new tissue. They're anti-inflammatory. They're very effective in reducing inflammation, which is at the core of every issue, sickness, illness, infirmity, and disease, even chronic pain. Right, Doc? I love having a smart doc in the room that's agreeing with me. I love that. They're immunomodulatory. They help modulate your body's immune system. Now, our immune system is really awesome, but if you've got an autoimmune issue, you probably don't want to strengthen your immune system. You want to modulate it. You want to balance it. I call it like a car radio. My car radio, if it's too low, that's a suppressed immune system. That leaves me at risk for viruses, bacteria, and all these issues to hurt me, right? If it's too high, it's like my car radio is way too high, and it's all you can hear. So either you can't hear it, or it's all you can hear. We want to modulate your immune system. Stem cells are extremely effective at doing that. So they're the 3 main things that stem cells do. 1 or 2 others, really cool. They modulate your existing stem cells. See, as you grow, and I'm going to show you with this chart, as you age, okay, and this chart is my favorite. Because if you only show this, it would tell you the whole deal. Your stem cells decrease and decline as you age. So when you're a newborn baby, 1 in 10,000 of your cells is a stem cell. By the time you get to a teenager, they're already negative 10x, 1 in 100,000. But how many of y'all remember when you were a teenager? Raise your hand if you remember that. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey, go out drinking all night, whatever. Okay, eat a dozen donuts. Your body repairs. Okay, it refuels because your stem cell pool, 100,000 of them is a stem cell. By the time you're in your 30s, 1.25 million. Your 50s, 1 in 400,000. Your 80s, 1 in 2 million. That explains a lot. Okay. So that's really the key right there to understand that. Now, not only do your stem cells decrease and decline, or I call it your stem cell pool or your stem cell checking account gets lowered as you grow older, okay? They also don't freely flow through your body. So they hang out in your adipose fat tissue. I don't know, anybody got any of that, right? And they hang out in your bone marrow, okay? So now new research shows that when you get these infinity cells in your body, it wakes up. You're hibernating cells. That's not a scientific term, but hey, I like to keep it simple. Is that good if we keep it real simple? Okay. So, stem cells made simple. 5 types of stem cells: fetal embryonic, amniotic fluid, placental tissue, autologous, your own, and infinity cells. They are human umbilical cord cells. Real quick, just for a second, fetal embryonic, not cool, evil, immoral, controversial, illegal, jeopardizes human life, taken before maturity. But I'm a common sense guy, remember? Common sense is so common. So if we set aside the moral issues, and we can't, but if we do for a second and look at common sense, we know that these babies are taken at 5 to 6 months. So stem cells are at their most pluripotent, their most replicative, their most duplicative, their freshest at 9 months. A couple days before, a couple days after. These never mature, they're not going to work. Amniotic fluid, extracted from the amniotic sac by amniocentesis. Legally not even allowed to call them stem cells because you can't count how many cells are in there. Although they are beneficial to 22% of the people, they're very expensive. They have all these really unique proteins and cytokines and all these cool things that help inflammation, but they don't have all the right stuff to build, grow, and create new tissue. So the challenge with this is a lot of cellular debris, inconsistent concentration. You can't count how many cells you get. They don't have the mesenchymal cells and the CD34, which you need to really get that regeneration, to get that tissue growth. But bottom line is, who would go fill up their truck with gas and pay $50 and not know how many gallons you got, right? They can't tell you if there's any stem cells in these. They won't go through a cell flow cytometer, not the best way to do it. Average treatment, $5,000 to $10,000. Placental, same deal. That's a placental type tissue. Same challenge as amniotic fluid. Same issues, okay? $5,000 to $10,000 per treatment. We don't treat, we do therapy. We don't treat diseases, we strengthen your body. Next is autologous. That's the patient's own stem cells that are collected through surgery. But you remember the chart I showed you? If you're not a teenager or less, why the heck would you ever want your own cells? Right? I don't want my cells, right? They're already slowing down, right? I don't want to put myself to the risk of surgery at $18,000 to $25,000, and they're not potent enough for a difference. Expensive, invasive, and they depend upon my health and my age. And if you have an issue or a sickness or an illness, it's even worse. So that's not the best way to do it. Okay, even though that's very popular, but make sure you realize that's surgery. It's expensive, invasive, potentially risky, and out of all of our doctors, and again, glory to God, not me, but in the last 2.5 years, we've done over 37,000 successful therapies. It's the most Hippocratic thing you'll ever see. You'll never hurt anybody. Okay, it is not going to happen. We've also onboarded over 200 clinics, 200 reps, 200 doctors. That's very exciting. So what makes infinity cells so cool? They're undifferentiated cells. Your body does not recognize them as foreign. They're immune privileged. They go in. They're simple, safe, convenient, effective, and affordable. How do we deliver them? It's simple. A medical professional, the medical team will deliver them through a simple intra-articular injection if we're going to go local. Or if we're going to do something systemic, go push. 3 seconds. I couldn't believe it the first time I got treated. I've been treated 9 times, but we don't treat. So I've received stem cell therapy 9 times. Why? I told you I'm 96. I'm not kidding. Because I believe in the power of prevention. There's nothing wrong with me. On a scale of 1 to 10, my health is a 26. But I believe in prevention. I'm not going to spend more money on furniture than I am on my body, even though I like nice furniture. I'm not going to spend more money on my wife's jewelry than I am on my health and my body, even though my wife loves nice jewelry. I'm not going to spend more money on my vacations. I'm going to spend money on my health because I'm going to regenerate any potential issues before it becomes an issue. If you agree with that, say yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Looking and feeling younger never gets old.
That's right.
It really doesn't. So why would you operate, and thank God for operations, if you need them, but why would you operate if you could first regenerate? You could always operate later. Why would you medicate with all these horrible side effects? And if you need it, then follow your doctor's orders, okay? Follow the Holy Spirit and follow your doctor's orders. But why would you medicate and put yourself at risk for all them side effects when you could first regenerate? Simple, safe, convenient, effective, affordable, based on accepted medical practice, and they work. Where they come from? Donated. Healthy mother, healthy baby, laid out. Like Shirley said, we test for 14 diseases.
17.
Well, it's 14 diseases is what we test for, okay? We test for 14. Now, there's 17 in there, but some of them are subs, so it's kind of misleading.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is HIV 1 and 2.
Okay.
Well, that's not 2, that's 1 test. Does that make sense? So we test for 14 different diseases. You could do 17 if you wanted to kind of break them down. I like to say 14, okay? With that being said, how many of y'all ever gave blood at the Red Cross? Okay, you know what the FDA screens, how many tests? 5. Exactly right. 6 is good. And by the way, that's safe and that's acceptable. That's medically acceptable. But these are really next level tested. I mean, everything. Lyme disease, they're tested for everything. So it's really, really cool. Advantages. Anyone can be treated. Best anti-inflammatory and immune modulating capacity. Can be administered multiple times in uniform doses. Simple IV infusion, injection. I'm telling you, the treatment takes 3, maybe 5 minutes. If you get a push or a short injection. And if you want to, if you like the IV infusion, I'm sure they'll do that for you. It takes 15 or 20 minutes. Sit there, relax a little bit. Well, you get these incredible God cells in your body. Really cool. Next, please. Next, please. Okay, so this is a video. We're not going to play the video. Okay, and here's why. Because you already heard, at the average meeting we do 3 or 4 testimonials. I think I've already heard 18. Okay, so have you guys heard some great testimonials, right? Revelation 12:11, we overcame the enemy by
The blood of the Lamb.
and
The word of our testimony.
right, testimonials are phenomenal. Facts tell, but stories sell. But we like to keep it really, really simple. With that being said, go to clinicaltrials.gov. Provides over 4,000 clinical studies being done right now. They're being studied all around the country, all around the world, on everything that you could even imagine. Science and research clearly shows they're beneficial for chronic joint pain, back pain, bulging herniated discs, spinal cord injuries, meniscus, ACL, MCL tears, knee injury. You get it. You get the list. Next one, please. Look at them all. Science and research going on all of them. Guess what? We don't treat any of them because we don't treat diseases. We strengthen your body's natural healing ability because the power that created your body is the power that heals your body. Okay? Next, please. Is it safe and why? 100% safe, totally Hippocratic. Again, 37,000 plus treatments in the last 2.5 years. We have not hurt anybody. That's good. Okay, we're at the most fun part of the meeting. First of all, how many of y'all got something out of this? If you did, say yes. Awesome. I'm excited to share with you. Now it's my favorite time. Because how many of you like to learn stuff and think knowledge is power? Raise your hand if you say yes. I like to learn too, but knowledge is not really power. It's only potential power. There's power in action. Does that make sense? Right? You can know something. How many of y'all know what to do but don't do it? So you don't get the result. So there's power in action. So right now we're excited that you came here tonight. I count it an honor and a privilege to be able to share this message of health and hope with you. We have a treatment day coming up right here in your area on Thursday. Is that accurate? So if you all are interested in getting a treatment and getting on the day, then go see Shirley immediately, okay? They'll book out really quick, really fast. Also, they make an incredible offer. Now, do you want to tell them the offer? Great, I'm going to let you tell them the offer.
If everyone will see that you have a consultation request form, if I can get you to fill that out, I would appreciate it. And then also, I'm going to get Randy Delafonte. Do you mind coming? And I forgot to run our sign-in sheet around, so if I could get you to take that around and get everybody to sign in. Thank you, guys. Right up here. So if you would like a consultation request, so if you'll just fill this out, this will entitle you to a free consultation, which is normally a $200 value. So make sure that you get your name in, because maybe if you want to get it, or maybe you have a family member that you want to get it for, if we've got one of these on file, just make sure we got your name, and then you save $200. So I think it's worth a few lines to put your name on there. Make sure you save some money. And also, if you are ready to go and you would go ahead and you would like to go ahead and get a consultation form and get it filled out so that we can get it to our medical staff so that they can review it, we would like for you to come to this first table. Actually, you know what I'll do, because we've got so many people around there. If this is something that you would like to do and you're ready to go, if you would just raise your hand right quick, and I'm going to get you a form, and or if you've got one that you want to send to a family member, make sure that you get with me. We've got some forms that you can go ahead and fill out. Would anybody like a form? Go ahead, and Pastor Juan's going to get you the forms right now. And if you'll go ahead and fill those out. Anybody that came with, Dr. Salinas, that if you want to fill the form, she's going to be doing all of the therapies for us for the stem cells. And Dr. Salinas has come on board, so he's going to be doing our therapies from now on in Cleburne. And he's already been run through and done his training, and so he's ready to go. And this, many people are asking, how much does this cost? What does it run? And most people that if they want to get their knees done, it usually runs about $3,125. And if you are a person that weighs, between say 120 and 180 or something like that, or 200 pounds, then you would normally need to have 2 cc's, and that would run $6,250. So that kind of gives you an average as to what they run. And we have seen people that are coming in and saying, oh my goodness, I had a deductible on my insurance of $5,000 or $7,000 or $10,000, and I was able to get stem cell therapy, and I never lost one day of work. Did you hear me? There was no downtime. There was no recovery time. It was, they got stem cells, and they kept on about their daily business and their work, schedule and everything else, and then within just a short period of time, people began to regenerate. One guy called me because I thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be one of those people that felt like that they just, because I couldn't see that the guy was going to get benefit. And I thought, man, I've never seen anyone that had actually received any for their knees that didn't have knee regeneration. Anyway, this guy said, he came to me and he said, you don't understand. He said, I've already had surgeries on my knees. Nothing's ever worked. I'm dealing with bone on bone. He said, and I'm facing double knee replacement surgery. And he said, I'm too young to get this, but I have just really been hard on my knees over the years. So anyway, I called and checked on him. Our medical staff had called and followed up and all. Anyway, and after a period of time, he calls me one day and he said, hey, Shirley. I said, yeah. He said, I want to get my mom signed up. I want my mom to get stem cells. And I said, oh, really? Well, how are you doing? He said, oh, by the way, I got 2 new knees. He said, the stem cells worked. He said, I guess mine were so bad that it just took them a little bit longer for my knees to rebuild. But he said, and it came just in time, because he said, God bless me with this incredible job, but part of my job is I'm on my feet and I'm having to walk and I'm having to climb stairs and climb ladders. And he said, there's no way that I could have taken this job 4 months ago and been able to do it. So anyway, it was really exciting. I got a call yesterday from a guy that had been diagnosed with severe dementia. And whenever I talked to the guy, originally, when he first received stem cells, he was repeating himself, and he was kind of going, and I thought, whoa, this is pretty severe. Well, anyway, he and his wife are absolutely ecstatic because God has restored his mind. Did you hear me? I mean, this guy is like, I give him a life. I didn't think I would ever be able to function again. And, I'm just thrilled every day, day after day, because I continue to see that things are happening for people that, you didn't think that it was going to happen. I mean, my secretary, my assistant, her dad had a stroke, and he came in. It had been 7 weeks since he had a stroke. Within 1 hour, his smile was literally, within 1 hour after stem cells, his smile was bisymmetrical. Within 24 hours, he was actually able to move his leg and his arm. Talking to us the other day on the phone, and he said, I'm doing so well now that, he said, I think I'm going to have to go back to work. So this is him. This was whenever he first came in, and he was not, this eye had been affected, his side of his body. He couldn't even lift his arm up to shake your hand. Well, within 1 hour, his smile was bisymmetrical. 3 days later, he went hunting, and by the way, it infected his right side, and he went shooting and used his right arm. So anyway, I see stuff like this all the time. It's just absolutely miraculous. So if you don't get immediate results, don't be discouraged at all, because most people don't have any significant response until 4 to 6 weeks into it. Some people up to 90 days. The body knows where to go. The body knows how everything needs to function for the body to regenerate. Gloria a Dios. And Pastor Juan, can I get you to come and help as well? How would you tell us what happened?
God bless you all.
Esta noche les quiero dar mi testimonio. Por el mes de junio me diagnosticaron que había un tumor en mi hígado.
On the month of July, they diagnosed a tumor on my liver.
Ese tumor tenía nombre, tenía tamaño.
That tumor had a name and size.
Cuando te dicen que tienes cáncer, todo se va para abajo, piensas que no hay solución, piensas que no hay vida.
When they diagnose cancer in your life, the first thing you think is death, and it's not hope.
En ese tiempo, pastor me visitó, pastor estaba orando por mí y pastor me dijo, conozco a una persona y me presentó a la hermana Chelsea.
When she got diagnosed of cancer, I went and visited her. She was on a bed and extremely pain. So I told her about Shirley, that she had hope for her life.
Cuando me presentó el plan, pensé que no lo iba a poder hacer. Dije, es demasiado dinero.
When they told me the price, I thought I was not be able to do it because it was too much for me, too much money.
Pienso que hay muchas personas que piensan lo mismo que yo.
And you might be one of the persons that think the same.
Aún así me aferraba a Dios y decía, Señor, si tú me diste la vida, tú me la puedes quitar, pero yo estoy en tus manos.
So I pray to God and I tell him, if you gave me life, you can also take my life away.
Dios nuestro Señor fue bueno conmigo. Puso el dinero, puso la salud.
And somehow God blessed me with some of the money to be able to do this. And
Después del primer trasplante, tuve una cita. Me hicieron otra vez los estudios y el doctor dijo, no hay nada. Gloria a Dios porque pude escucharlo y pude comprobarlo que estoy sana.
after the first treatment, 2 weeks later, I went to the doctor, and the doctor checked my whole body, my liver, and they couldn't find and trace any cancer cells. So I give thanks to God that healed me.
Gloria a Dios. Ajá. Y hay más y más y más testimonios en el futuro, muy cerca del futuro.
Amen, amen.
Yes, yes, yes. So we're expecting God to do more and more and more. We're believing God for testimonies and many more in the near future. So, maybe this is something that you feel like it may be something you need to do, or maybe you've got a friend, a close family member. So we want to be here for you. We would like to be a part of your healing revolution. And so if any of you would like to make sure that you get a consultation request form, if you want to take a form to fill out for you or a family member, again, make sure that you get with me, or Randy, would you just raise your hand if you'll just get with him, and he'll get you one of the consultation requests, and you get it filled out, and we'll get you on board and get those stem cells going and allow your body's natural healing power to be awakened and brought to life, and allow your body to begin a healing. So anyway, we're just so excited and so thankful. I just really appreciate everybody that came tonight. And if some of you have some more questions, maybe you're thinking, well, I just don't really know about this, and I've got some more questions that I'd like to have answered, make sure that you get with me and let me know. We also have some symbols, some books right back there, right behind the camera guy. And with those books, and maybe you just say, well, I think I'd like to do this, but I just really feel like I need a little bit more, or maybe there's another payout plan or something, or do y'all take care credit? Yes. And well, what about medical savings plans? Yes. We can work with you on those, because we've got some avenues by which we want you to be able to afford to bring your health to the next level. So anyway, do you have any questions? Anybody have any questions? Okay, well, this is one that I haven't asked. Many people say, well, how many times have you done stem cells? I did them once. Okay? And now many other people, they've done them multiple times. I've seen people that, they want to come in. I've got a lady in her 90s, and she comes in once a year because she said, the first time I ever came here, I had to be helped in, and I was using a walker in extreme, debilitating pain. And now she comes and she's in her jogging suit and her tennis shoes, and she told me a couple months ago when she came in, she said, I don't ever want to go back to where that I was. And I believe that this is the fountain of youth, and so I'm coming in every year for my booster. That's what she calls it. I'm coming in for my booster shot, and she has never had to use a walker or a cane again, and she does not have any pain in her body ever again. I mean, I see people all the time come in with debilitating diagnosis. One of my dear friends, she was actually not even a believer, and she came in, she'd been diagnosed with lupus. Anyway, now all of her tests have come back clear, and now her and her husband are actually attending our church. She's given her life to the Lord. God knows how to show up and radically change somebody's life. So maybe you're in a situation, you say, well, I hadn't heard her say what I'm dealing with. Well, let me tell you, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's MS. I don't care if it's ALS. I see God show up and do something that only He can do. One of my friends, he's dead. They had some enchilada cells, they had some burrito cells, they did some things anyway. Got stem cells for Dad. And 2 weeks after he received, oh my goodness, he fell off the bed because he couldn't get up out of the bed or anything. Well, he had gotten up, gotten himself dressed, and he said, come on, baby, let's dance. She said, I about fell over and hit the floor. Because he was not only back to his doctor, and they said, we don't know what has happened, but you don't have ALS, and you must have had a misdiagnosis. And I said, well, maybe. And I believe that this is a hope. It's hope for many people that maybe have not had hope before. And I believe it's just one of those things that's changed my life. And Barbara, would you like to share anything?
Brenda.
Oh, Brenda, I'm sorry, Brenda. Yes, Brenda, would you like to share? This is Brenda Kaufman, and she's from Granbury.
Well, I can share some. I actually, whenever whenever I decided I was going to do this, I said, Lord, I need new hair, I need new eyes, new ears, and new knee, and, you know, new bladder, new rotor cup, and new vertebrae. And so far, I got on my knees in my closet looking for something and crawled. And I could not even put my knees on the floor. And that night that I got my shot, within minutes I was able to walk without limping. And my knee still gives me a little bit of trouble when I do too much on it, but I know that's just building strength in my knee, in my muscles. And hearing, I'm still wearing my hearing aids, but I can hear probably 70% better. And that night, I got my stem cell shot. I was on my knees and in front of, on my knees, by the way, that night. And I was standing, and I didn't know he was trying, or somebody was hungry. Well, he was talking to me, and I heard him. And that was kind of a funny thing. As far as the rotor cup goes,
I'd wait a little bit and let's see how you're doing after 90 days.
yeah, well, hey, I believe in the stem cell, and I've got a brother that just had a stroke. I have a sister-in-law, his wife, that just had a heart attack, and she has COPD, and when I go to Midland, I want to know when you're going to be there again, because I'm going to try to get them there.
Brenda, tell him about Keith.
Oh,
Tell him how
Keith
he,
and Norma.
Tell him how he was when he was here.
Keith and Norma, you remember they were there that night and they got their stem cell shot. They always talk so low. I had a hard time hearing her because I wore hearing aids. And we've been calling them for a week just to see how they're doing. And we called them today, trying to get them to come tonight.
Tell how she jibber-jabbered and didn't make sense.
Oh, that's another thing, yes. Norma would just go off on rabbit trails. You'd be talking about one thing and then she's jibber-jabbering about something else. Her mind is clear. Her mind is clear and she speaks clearly and I can hear her. Even without my hearing aids. I took my hearing aids out whenever we talked to them just so I could see, and I heard her perfect. And Keith, her husband, was on death's row. He came that night, remember? And he was walking dead. He really was. He was almost walking dead. And he is loud and strong and just feeling awesome. And it's funny because I was talking to them today and they said, well, we don't know yet. Norma says, I'm still researching everything and you know, being a little bit negative. And I said, or we said, why? You're so much stronger than you were. We can hear both of you. And Keith had life in him again.
Yeah. Brenda,
So,
hey, tell him, you know, when Brenda prayed for Keith the night he got that, his eyes were so dull you could hardly see him. And Brenda got down on her knees, you know, and prayed for him. And me and Mark both seen the life come back in his eyes. So she spoke life into him when he got that shot.
well, and the gentleman that was up here was talking about we have to have faith. Or you were talking about we have to have faith. Well, I have faith that my hair's coming back, my vision's going to be better, and all the other things I named. So, thanks for letting me give my testimony.
Yeah, you know, it's really exciting to me, but, you know, I've seen that as well. One of the ladies in our church, she came up to me the other day and she said, Shirley, I said, what? She said, I went to my hairdresser, and my hairdresser said, what on earth have you done? And she said, what do you mean? She said, that the hairdresser said, well, you got a head full of hair now. And she said, I kept thinking it was getting thicker. And I mean, it's actually rather dramatic. So, I mean, we see things all the time. And, you know, and I don't know what's going on with your body. I don't know where your body's being degenerated. I don't know what's broke down in the body. But, you know, stem cells they don't need a diagnosis. They just know where to go, and they bring healing and restoration. So, Anyway, and would you, Dr. Salinas, can I get you to come on up?
Yes, yes.
I just want you to introduce yourself to everybody and just kind of tell them a little bit about you.
Yes, actually, I know a few people here that I have seen as patients, and I had the privilege of giving Marta Hernandez the second treatment, you know, and yes, no more cancer. We cannot say that we cure because we really don't cure and we don't treat anything. It's your body. You know, I call the stem cells the creator's cells because they're cells and they're cells. If you need bones, cartilage, if you need eyes, they will convert into new eyes in your life, in your body. If you need memory, brain, function, regenerate, repair, and reduce inflammation. There is no other medical treatment so effective than the work of the stem cells. I've been in practice for 30 years, and approximately 10 years ago, I put at risk my license because here in Cleveland, I treated a patient with pulmonary fibrosis. I'm going to do it because I know your mother, your grandmother, I know you, and you cannot breathe. She can hardly walk for, few steps, and she had to rest. So after one treatment, that was 10 years ago, and I made her sign papers saying, look, Dr. Salinas advised you that this is not an official therapy. And she said, I promise I will not do it. I will not tell anybody about this. So 1 week after the treatment, she was able to breathe. 3 months after the treatment, she was pregnant. Her doctors told her, if you get pregnant, we're going to do an abortion because you cannot handle a pregnancy. Well, she went all the way. Okay, and she had a baby. She was so happy. Okay, but now that I know that with Shirley, with Bobby, I can really help my patients, and I don't have to hide. I don't have to say, look, this is not legal. Okay, I'm very happy to really be working with these people, and I'm very happy actually working initially inside the church because I really think that when God created us, He put everything in our body, everything that you need to heal of any illness. You have a newborn, the umbilical cord cells into your body, and the magic again comes because they are very strong. They don't produce side effects. I haven't seen any patients with side effects. Okay? So you will not have an allergic reaction. There is no such a thing about allergy to stem cells. So I'm very happy to be part of this team. I'm very happy to start here in Cleveland for the first time, giving this opportunity to all of you. And I challenge you, please do it if you have a chance because it will make a difference for the rest of your life. Thank you.
We're so glad to have Dr. Salinas on board. Again, does anybody have any questions? I think we're ready to close the meeting. Anybody else that would like a form, please make sure that you get one before you leave. And so you can fax them or email them back to us. Let me pray over you. Father, just thank you, Lord, for bringing everybody here today. Stem cell therapy is something that you would have for these people to do. God, that you just make a way. Lord, that